What's up guys, and welcome to a new video. So ever since the PTR, I saw people running the Hydra build with a whole bunch of different Hydras, and I have been wanting to try it out for myself. And I must say, overall, this build is really fun. I have killed Uber Lilith, tormented bosses, and pushed through tier 7 of the Infernal Hordes. You are able to have 3 sets of Hydras with up to 12 heads, with the right masterworking done. This build actually does pretty decent boss damage as well. I would like to give a shout out to Immortalize. I did take some pointers from his video. His channel will be linked down in the description if you want to check it out. As always, we will cover everything from the skills used all the way to the Paragon board. Timestamps will be down below, so feel free to jump ahead at any time. If you have any questions or comments, let me know down below and I'll definitely get back to you. At the end of the video, there will be a full Uber Lilith kill if you want to go ahead and check that out. Anyways, let's get right into it. Starting off with the skills used in the build, up top, up here you can see we use Firebolt. Literally the only reason that we use this is down there you'll see Firebolt increases the burning damage you deal to the enemy by 25% multiplicative for 3 seconds, so that's just, you know, a nice debuff for the enemy. Right here we go into Ice Armor. We use this obviously defensively, gives us a nice barrier, more mana regeneration, awesome to have. Teleport, you know, this gets us around quickly, makes us go unstoppable. This is the way that we proc our Tyrael ring and one of our glyphs for damage. Right here obviously we have Hydras. You can see I'm rank 5. Technically I only have 1 point into Hydra. Now when it comes to Hydra, all of our damage that we're scaling is the burning damage, the damage over time, not the actual hit damage. So we only need 1 point in there because the burning damage is based off of the Hydra's base damage. So more points to it are going to add to like its actual hit damage, not the burning damage that it will be doing. Right here we take Ice Blades. The main reason that we take this is obviously it's another conjuration skills. Because of our conjuration mastery, we get more damage with, you know, the more conjurations that we have up. On top of that, this will also proc our Tyrael ring for cold damage and makes enemies vulnerable on top of that. And then down here we take Firewall. Once again, this one is for debuffing the enemy. Enemies take 25% multiplicative increased burning damage from you while standing in Firewall. So basically, you know, it's making it to where we do more damage when they're affected by this and by Firebolt. Alright, now we'll go ahead and go into the enchantments really quick. Right here, first we take Frost Nova. The main reason that we take this, well actually it's for 2 reasons, but the main reason we take this is for the vulnerable. I mean, we have a 35% chance for our Hydras to proc this with our elixir up. They have a 4% lucky hit chance, but when we have 36 of them, you know, it's going off pretty often. So it's helping to keep enemies vulnerable at all times. And then on top of that, it freezes enemies. And, you know, because of an aspect, we do multiplicative damage for every form of crowd control that we have on an enemy. So this is giving us freeze and making enemies vulnerable. So that's why I like to have Frost Nova. And then right here we have Frostbolt. Basically, we're chilling all enemies at all times. And there's multiple ways that we get, you know, damage from, you know, attacking and chilling enemies. And we'll go over that in the guide. Alright, now we'll go ahead and jump into the gear and aspects really quickly, guys. You know, don't forget to cap off your armor at least 9230. You know, we have a lot of life with this build. Here's my stats right here. I mean, we're over on our maximum resistances because of the Tyrael's might. Armor right here. Just briefly go over the stats if you want to take a look at them. Starting off up in the helmet. When it comes to the helmet, we want to go with the shako. Shako's giving us 4 ranks to all skills, damage reduction, a lot of cooldown. Maximum life, just, you know, awesome overall to have. So definitely you want to try to go with the shako right here. Secondly, we have another uber unique Tyrael's might. You know, everybody knows what Tyrael's might is pretty much. Movement speed, you know, maximum resistances, a ton to all res, more damage reduction, awesome to have as well. Now when it comes to the gloves, you want to go with intelligence, attack speed, and damage over time. We want to try to get damage over time anywhere that we can. Now I don't have the damage over time because I chose to go with the lucky hit, chance to make enemies vulnerable. This, along with our Ice Blades, and then along with proccing our Frost Nova, is how we're keeping enemies vulnerable at all times. And when enemies are vulnerable, that's, you know, a big damage bonus. So we definitely want to have that. But you could go with damage over time right there if you wanted to. I would say definitely have the intelligence and the attack speed. And we want to try to get intelligence on all pieces of gear because you'll see in the Paragon board, it's going to give us a lot of damage. And overall, that's our, you know, main stat for the Sorc, and it gives us a lot of, you know, base damage, so we want to get that everywhere that we can. For the aspect right here on the gloves, you're going to go with the Serpentine aspect. You can see right there, it gives us the additional Hydra, making it to where we're able to have 3 Hydras up at all times, so, you know, overall more damage. For the Tempering right there, you want to go with the lucky hit, chance to get slow. Now you can go with slow or stun. We don't want to get immobilized because we're going to get that in the skill tree. Really quickly, because of this aspect right here, the creeping death aspect, you deal up to 40% multiplicative increased damage over time to enemies for each different crowd control effect they are affected by. And then, unstoppable enemies are staggered and bosses take up to 80% multiplicative increased damage over time. We want to get as many crowd control effects that we possibly can. And right now we have actually 6 sources of crowd control. We have slow, immobilize, chill, freeze, stun, and daze. We have a lot of ways of crowd controlling the enemy, which is, awesome. And we definitely want to get on our gloves, like right here, you want to get like the, lucky hit up to a 45% chance to slow enemies. And then, for your other temper, we're going to get fire damage over time. We want to get fire damage over time anywhere that we can. Into the pants right here, with the concentration aspect, casting a conjuration skill, which Hydras are conjuration, so we're, this is always up, more damage reduction. And this build is actually really tanky, guys. We have a ton of damage reduction, almost 40k life. You want to get intelligence, maximum life, and then go with the dodge chance. There isn't really a better choice right there aside from dodge chance. And that helps your survivability out. So, and then right there I have the lucky hit, chance to stun. So like say maybe if you got stun on the gloves, then instead of getting the slow up here, get the slow down here. You know what I mean? So then we'll have another one down here on the boots that you'll see. So you can kind of interchange those, but you want to get, a different one on each. For your other tempering, we want to go with warmth. We have a lot of ranks into warmth. Basically, it's like life leech. I mean, this build, it just regenerates life quickly, and you'll see why in the skill tree. We have like 8 points into warmth, and we'll go over that. So I definitely want to have that right there. And once again, the concentration aspect into the boots. You want to go with the concussive strikes aspect. Now, that aspect right there is giving us a chance to daze enemies. That's another one of our crowd control effects. And we do 20% multiplicative increased damage to dazed enemies. So, when enemies are dazed, we're getting, a lot from that. You want to go with intelligence, maximum life, and movement speed. Right there, lucky hit up to a 25% chance to freeze for 2 seconds. So we have freeze right there. You see right there I have the tempering for mobility cooldown reduction. That's making it to where we can teleport more. You can either go with that or you can go with movement speed. We already have a lot of movement speed with the build, so that's why I chose to go with that right there. But, we'll leave that up to you. Down into the weapon. Now, the weapon is very important. First of all, you want to go with the two-handed weapon. You want to go with the staff, so that we get more Hydra heads overall. Now, we're first going to talk about the temperings. Obviously, you want to get the fire damage over time. We want to get that everywhere that we can. But the very most important tempering on the entire build is the number of Hydra heads. Right there, you can see I have casted Hydra heads. I have up to 10 plus heads. You can go up to 12. I masterworked that twice. And I re-rolled this with the masterworking a lot of times trying to hit that 12, but it's just really hard to do. And I didn't want to keep on farming materials, but obviously the more heads that you have on, you'll see when I cast it, automatically 10 heads, and we can have 3 sets of those, so obviously the more heads that you have, the more damage you're going to be doing. So if you can, try to masterwork that up to 12, but I would say at very least, try to go for the 10, try to at least hit it twice. And then, you want to go for intelligence, maximum life, and damage over time. Like we talked about, the aspect of creeping death. Into the amulet right here, guys. In place of the life, you would want to go with percent intelligence. Obviously this isn't the best amulet in slot. I would definitely say try to get conjuration mastery. We get a lot of damage per, conjuration with that mastery and movement speed. You'll see here in a minute. So try to go with conjuration mastery, percent intelligence, and then, 3 to inner flame is what I have right there. Really quickly, we'll go into the skill tree. So here's the conjuration mastery. You can see like with rank 8 that I have, I get 8% damage multiplier, 8% movement speed, and mana regeneration per conjuration, and we have at least 4 at all times. So that's a nice damage boost. So you definitely want to try to get that. Now for the other one, you can see right here I have inner flames, giving me a 12% multiplier while I'm healthy, which is above 80% life. So you can try to look for ranks of that, or don't really worry about crippling flames. This is going to make it to where we immobilize enemies, so we have enough ranks into that. But aside from that, I think you can also get like Endless Pyre. So I would say either Endless Pyre or Inner Flames, aside from Conjuration Mastery. That's the number 1 that you want to try to get on your amulet. Now for the temperings, you want to try to go with Warmth. Once again, we want to get that anywhere that we can. Once again, fire damage over time for the other tempering. And then for the aspect right here, you're going to go with Engulfing Flames. You can see right there, you deal 68% multiplicative increased burning damage to enemies below 50% life. So, you can definitely see that kick in when they get below that 50% threshold. Additionally, you deal 150% multiplicative increased burning damage to enemies while they are affected by more damage over time than their total life. So that one's not kicking in too often. They have to be affected by more damage over time, obviously, than their whole life pool. So you won't see that one kicking in too often. But the second one, when they get to half-life, you definitely notice that one kicking in for sure. Right here, we're going to go ahead and use Talrash's Iridescent Loop. This one's just great for the build. For each type of damage you deal, basically you get a 20% multiplier, and we get that with 3 different types, with cold, fire, and lightning. You know, we're proccing the lightning with our teleport, and then we're getting the cold with the ice blades, and then obviously we deal fire damage. And then, you know, the other stats on here are great. 5 to potent warding, not too big of a deal, but the cooldown, non-physical, you'll see in the Paragon board, that's going to, you know, boost us with one of our nodes, and lucky hit chance. And then right here, we're going to go to the Ring of Starless Skies. This is great for the build as well. You know, almost 30% with my master working anyways, almost 30% attack speed, which, by the way, the Hydras do get your attack speed, and they get, you know, 100% of your attack speed. So, you know, you want them attacking as fast as possible. You want to get attack speed anywhere that you possibly can. And right there is a nice chunk of 30%. Don't worry about the crit strike chance. The fire damage over time cannot critically strike, so that doesn't do us any good. But we got more lucky hit. 4 to core skills doesn't really do us anything. Now, down there, you see spending your primary resource reduces the resource cost of your skills, which doesn't really matter to us because Hydra doesn't cost that much to begin with, but we can get up to a 50% multiplier just by casting over and over. And we're constantly, like when I'm running around, you know, I'm casting the 3 Hydras like on bosses or enemies, and then I'm just casting here and there to, you know, keep it going. Just keep it up. Now, when it comes to the gems, rubies, and your gear guys, you want to get the damage over time down here. Now, over here, I have the skulls, which is giving me more armor. I think I only needed like 1, 2 of these are just dead. And because of the max res on our chest, we don't even need resistances over here. I just have the skulls in pretty much to look cool. All right, we will briefly go over the skill tree. Up top for the basic skill, we're going to take Firebolt, run that back here to Glinting. We basically take that for the 25% multiplier. We do more burning damage to enemies that are hit by the Firebolt, so you definitely want to have that. Now, we do use this for our enchantment, Frostbolt, but we have the Shako, so that's giving us ranks into it, so we don't have to put any points right there. Into our core skills, really, we don't need anything in here. You just got to put 3 points. We did it over here in potent warding. Down to our defensive skills, 1 into teleport, run that back to shimmering. And then we're going to go into ice armor, run that back to shimmering as well. Frost Nova, that's our other enchant, and we definitely want to run that back to mystical for the to make enemies vulnerable when they're hit by the Frost Nova. And then 1 into elemental attunement for the chance to reset our defensive skill. Right here, glass cannon, 3 points into that, you know, giving us a nice damage boost. Yeah, we take a little more damage, but we get an 18% multiplier. Down into our conjuration, we want to go with 1 into Hydra, and then run that back to summoned. Right here, the summoned Hydra, this is our main damage dealer. You can see right there, Hydra also burns enemies for an additional 100% of its base damage dealt over 6 seconds. And, you know, this is the bread and butter. This is the core of the actual whole build right here. We're scaling the fire damage over time, and that's, like I had talked about earlier, that's another reason we only put 1 point in. You know, when we add points to this, you'll see the damage go up on the tooltip right there. But that damage is not the base damage. And this is only doing 100% of the actual base damage, so that's why we just put 1 point. It's rank 5 because of the Shako. Down here, you're going to want to max out Conjuration Mastery, get 3 points into that, and then because of our amulet, we have the other 5. Right here, this is all good for defensive. You want to get 3 points into each of these. I mean, get a ton of damage reduction from this. We get damage reduction right here. And then we also get, you know, barrier right here. Down into our mastery skills now, max out Inner Flames for damage. You want to max out Crippling Flames. Now, this is another way that we crowd control for our aspect. We have 42% chance to immobilize enemies because that chance is doubled while healthy. So you definitely want to have that. We go into Firewall just to get back here to Mage's Firewall. And the reason that we take this is because right here with the enhanced firewall, enemies take 25% multiplicative increased burning damage from you while standing in firewall. That's extended, you know, if they're not in firewall, it lasts for 3 seconds when they walk out, so they're taking more damage from your damage over time. Right here for the ultimate skill, 1 into permafrost so that we can get back to hoarfrost. Now, you deal 9% multiplicative increased damage to chilled enemies and 18% multiplicative to frozen. That's why we want to freeze and chill enemies also. Not only because of our aspect, but because of this too. So there's multiple reasons we want to be chilling enemies. Right here, we're going to go 1 into Fiery Surge so that we can take 3 into Soulfire. Basically, we're going to get, you know, damage right here. We want to get 3 into Warmth. We have the other ranks from our gear, getting us to rank 8. Every 1 second, you heal for 8% of your maximum life for each burning enemy. So, I mean, you know, this is just, our heal just goes up like crazy. This is like instant life recovery, especially with all the ranks that we have into it. Great for survivability. And then right here, Endless Pyre, we up to a 15% multiplier as the enemies burn. And then down here for our key passive, we're going to go into Combustion. Your burning effects deal 60% multiplicative increased damage and an additional 4% per unique source of burning. And, you know, we have a few different sources of burning. You know, we have the Firewall, and then we also have the Fire Bolt, and then we have the burning damage that we're doing with our Hydra. So I think we're getting 3 out of that. Alright guys, we will briefly go over the Paragon board really quick. There will be a link in the description for this build over on Mobilytics if you would like to check it out that way. Don't forget to get your glyphs up to level 15 for the bigger radius, and you might as well go to 20 for more damage. Right here we're going to throw in Elementalists. You can see right there, dealing fire, cold, and lightning damage to an enemy. Increases all damage you deal to them by 5% for each, stacking once per element, so we get a 15% multiplier. We're going to go with Erudite and Elemental Balance. The next board that we're going to come into will be the Frigid Fate board. Now you can see right here, you deal bonus damage to vulnerable enemies equal to 20% of the total amount of your bonus damage with cold, up to a maximum of 60%. Now even though we're not doing cold damage, it doesn't matter. We still want to scale this because that bonus down below goes to all of our damage. As you can see right here, we have a lot of non-physical damage, and we have multiple sources of that, you know, on our gear, right here in our Paragon board. That's what's scaling this up here. That's a nice multiplier for our build. In this board, you're going to want to go ahead and get life over here. Grab these nodes around. Right here, we're going to throw Conjure. You can see for the additional bonus, you know, more duration for our Hydras, and then, you know, a bit of damage. Right here, we're going to go with Weakness for vulnerable damage and Intelligence. And then we also get Chilling right here. Next board over here that we're going to go with is going to be the Searing Heat board. We're going to throw in Exploit right here. You see right there, dealing damage to vulnerable enemies increases your damage by 1% for 6 seconds up to 10. You know, we're making enemies around us vulnerable pretty much at all times. So it's a nice 10% multiplier, and also it gives us a little bit of damage. Grab Ashes right here. Next board that we will come into is going to be the Burning Instinct board. Now, you can see right there, your burning damage is increased by 10% multiplicative of your critical strike damage bonus, plus 1% for every 20 intelligence you have. So like right now I have almost 1500. So I'm pretty sure at 1500, I would be hitting the 80% burning damage bonus. You definitely want to try to hit that if you possibly can. You know, a nice multiplier for the build. We're going to grab Keeper of Flames over here. We're going to grab Safeguard. Right here, we're going to throw in the Control Glyph. You deal 10% multiplicative increased damage to slowed or chilled enemies. So that's where the chill comes in once again. Or instead, 20% increased damage to stunned or frozen enemies. And we also, you know, stun and freeze enemies. So this is a nice one to have, giving us a bit of damage as well. Right here, you're going to want to get Smoldering Embers. The next board that we're going to go ahead and come into will be the Enchantment Master board. In this board, we're going to throw in Leash. Is your area after spending 50 mana, you deal 8% multiplicative increased damage. Really nice to have, pretty much up at all times. Grab Erudite and Elemental Balance for more non-fizz. Down here, we're going to grab Elementalist for more non-fizz and maximum life. Over here, we're going to come into Elemental Summoner. Your conjuration skills have 10% reduced cooldown or mana cost. They also deal bonus damage equal to 10% multiplicative of the total of your bonus damage with fire, lightning, or cold. So this is once again where the, you know, damage comes in, and we get that nice 60% multiplier, and we're, you know, meeting that and getting the full benefit out of it. In this board, we're going to go with Tactician. You can see right there, you deal 10% multiplicative increased damage for 4 seconds after casting a defensive skill. Basically, we're always casting our ice armor, so this is always up at all times. Right here, Conjure, and then we're going to go with Reservoir right here. And then the last board that we're going to take is the Icefall board. Go over here and get Polar Rime, Frost, and then in this board we're going to throw Torch. You can see right there, you deal 2.5% multiplicative increased damage per nearby burning enemy, so up to a 12.5% multiplier, and it gives us a bit of fire damage over time. So yeah guys, that's pretty much it for the Paragon board. Hopefully this guide has been helpful. If you have any questions or comments, let me know down below. I will definitely get back to you. There will be an Uber Lilith kill right now at the end if you want to go ahead and check that out. Don't forget to leave me a like and a sub. Anyways, thanks for watching guys.